Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our showing of To Kill a Mockingbird, 1962, the fourth film in our current miniseries, Hollywood's Greatest Heroes, directed by Robert Mulligan and starring Gregory Peck as our final hero, Atticus Finch, Mary Badham, and Philip Alford. The screenplay was adopted by Horton Foote from Harper Lee's 1964 Pulitzer Prize-winning novel of the same name. Although the novel had won the Pulitzer Prize, some studios were reluctant to finance this production because it lacked action and a love story, and the villain didn't get his comeuppance. But Mulligan convinced Peck to do the role, and from that moment, the project was a go. Elmer Bernstein's score is regarded as one of the finest film scores ever written, and has been recorded 3 times. The piano part in his score was played by John Williams. The film was well received upon its release, earning over $13 million on its original investment of only $2 million, and receiving predominantly good reviews. On Rotten Tomatoes, the critical census states that To Kill a Mockingbird is a textbook example of a movie done right, sober-minded and earnest, but never letting its social consciousness get in the way of gripping drama. Bosley Crowther of the New York Times said that Horton Foote's script and the direction of Mr. Mulligan allow Mr. Peck and Little Miss Badham and Master Alford to portray delightful characters. Their charming enactments of his father and his children in that close relationship are worth all the footage of the film. Walt Disney had the film shown privately in his home, stating it was the kind of picture he wished he could make himself. Harper Lee herself had high praise for Peck in the liner notes on the re-release of the DVD, saying that when he played Atticus Finch, he played himself, and time has told all of us something more. When he played himself, he touched the world. The film was nominated for 8 Oscars and won 3 for Best Actor, Best Screenplay, and Best Art Direction in black and white. In 2003, the American Film Institute named Atticus Finch the greatest film hero of the 20th century, and the film ranks number 25 on the Institute's list of the greatest movies of all time. The producers wanted to shoot the film in Lee's hometown of Monroeville, Alabama, but the town had changed too much since the 1920s in which it was set, so they used the studio backlot in Hollywood instead. The old county courthouse in Monroeville was used as a model for the film. It is now used as a theater for many plays inspired by the film and a museum dedicated to Monroeville authors. Harper Lee modeled Atticus Finch after her late father, Amasa A.C. Lee, who was a lawyer and state legislator. His 1923 defense of a black man inspired the novel's trial. The first scene that Peck shot shows him returning home from his law office as his children run to greet him. Harper Lee was a guest on the set that day, and Peck saw her crying after the scene was shot. She explained that Peck looked just like her late father. The watch used in the film was a prop, but Lee gave Peck her father's watch when filming was completed because he reminded her so much of him. Peck was fortunate to meet Lee's father, who was 82 years old at the time of filming, and later wore Amasa Lee's watch and chain when he received his Oscar for portraying him in this film. Many years later, Peck's grandson, Harper Peck Vall, was named after Harper. Plot summary. It's 1932 in the small town of Macomb, Alabama, and Atticus Finch, a deeply principled lawyer and widowed father, is raising 2 children, Jem and Scout, for whom he is the sole caregiver. When a young black farm worker, Tom Robinson, is accused of sexually assaulting Mayella Ewell, a white woman, Finch agrees to provide his defense, an act which is deeply resented by his fellow townspeople. Suddenly, Finch and his children find themselves the target of the entire community. but this is a matter of justice, not merely the color of one's skin. Will reason and fairness prevail? Fun facts about the film. James Stewart was offered the role of Atticus but turned it down out of concerns that it was too controversial. This was Robert Duvall's film debut as Boo Radley. He was recommended by Horton Foote, who met him at the Neighborhood Playhouse in New York, where Duvall starred in the 1959 production of Foote's play The Midnight Caller. Peck's courtroom summation speech is 6 minutes 30 seconds long, but was captured in only one take. Brock Peters, who played Tom Robinson, delivered the eulogy at Gregory Peck's funeral on June 16, 2003. Although this is Robert Duvall's film debut, he has no dialogue. He stayed out of the sun and dyed his hair blonde for his appearance as Boo Radley. The character of Boo was modeled after a young man who lived with his parents in a dilapidated old house near Lee's home. His father kept him confined to the house after he was involved in a possible vandalism accident and allowed him to leave the premises only after nightfall, which suggests that he may have been an albino. Neither Mary Badham nor Philip Alford made a career out of acting after their amazing debuts in this movie. Mary retired from acting, married a schoolteacher, and raised 2 children in Richmond, Virginia. And Philip became a successful businessman in Birmingham, Alabama. Philip actually had to be coaxed to go to the auditions for the part of Jem. He decided to go when he was told that he would miss a half day of school. Badham, who was 9 years old at the time of filming, was the youngest actress ever to be nominated for the Oscar for Best Supporting Actress. She and Alfred didn't get along well while they were filming because she had a bad habit of mimicking him while he recited his lines so that he couldn't concentrate. The character of the children's friend Dill was based on Truman Capote, a childhood friend of Lee's who was sent to live with relatives in her hometown each summer. Mary messed up nearly every take in which the family dines at the table. Alfred didn't like eating the same food repeatedly because of her, so in one of the takes of the scene in which he rolls her in a tire, he tried to hurt her by aiming the tire at an equipment truck. Mulligan's way of handling the kids was to let them play together while he aimed the camera as unobtrusively as possible. The art directors built the town of Macomb on the Universal back lot. It consisted of more than 30 buildings and cost $260,000 to build, but they did save some money by buying up some Southern-style houses that were about to be demolished to make a way for a new freeway. James Anderson lobbied hard for the part of Bob Ewell, saying that he knew this man intimately. He inhabited the character so well that he didn't seem to be acting anymore. Ewell's full name is Robert E. Lee Ewell, a reference to the great Confederate general. The opening narration says that the county had been told that it had nothing to fear but fear itself, a reference to FDR's inaugural speech in March 1933. The photo on the mantel in Finch's bedroom depicts his late wife and was probably taken by 1920, as shown by the woman's hairstyle. The small mountain seen behind the mad dog running up the Finch's street is actually Mount Lee, located on the western edge of Griffith Park in Los Angeles. On the other side of that same mountain is the famous Hollywood sign. Dill claims he won $5 in a children's beauty contest and went to 20 movies with it. That means the price of a movie ticket in the early 30s was a quarter. The syrup Walter Cunningham pours all over his dinner is cane syrup, a popular southern sweetener derived from sugar cane, or it may be sorghum syrup, a cheaper alternative. Near the end of the film, the sheriff devises a story to protect Boo Radley from intrusive publicity, that Bob Ewell fell on his knife and killed himself. He tells Atticus to let the dead bury the dead, a reference to Matthew 8:22. Quote, "But Jesus said unto him, Follow me, and let the dead bury their dead." Quote. One interpretation of this passage is that people should put their responsibility to God ahead of all others. In this case, ahead of family obligations. But it has come to mean, forget the past, what's done is done. Things to look for. Look for the film's title revealed in a child's crayon rubbing. The stunning opening titles by Stephen Frankfurt. Atticus's famous quote, "It's a sin to kill a mockingbird." Peck's courtroom summation speech. Duvall's debut performance without a word of dialogue. The town of Macomb built entirely on Universal's back lot. The replica of a Marseillese watch used in the film. The reference to FDR's inaugural speech. Mrs. Finch's photograph on Atticus's bedroom mantel. The "let the dead bury their dead" quote. Now it's time to view To Kill a Mockingbird. Sit back, settle down. Please remember, it may take a few minutes for the film to roll. Enjoy.